This morning was the formal establishment of the Community Resilience Response by County Clare, being led by Clare County Council, being assigned by our department to pull all the agencies together to have a coordinated response to deal with the most vulnerable in our communities in the context of the current cocooning that's happening as part of the COVID-19 response by government. Well, I mean, there are, across the country alone, in all of Ireland, there are over 160,000 people over the age of 65 living alone. So and we have our share of those in County Clare, particularly in the rural parts. So it is crucial in the cocooning phase that the community come together and assist these individuals and families to ensure they have the basic necessities to survive, and more importantly though, that they have people who can contact them by phone because they are cocooning, bring some groceries around, help them with collecting their pension from the post office, those type of tasks that now they are prevented from doing. The local community and all the agencies in County Clare working together can placate that situation for them, help them and bring an easement to their worries at this difficult time. I think the general message is we're a wonderful county. We'll get through this. We will come out the other end, not unscathed, can I add, but we will come out. We have to try and be positive, and it is now creating a sense of community in the County Clare and across the country that I think a lot of areas had been losing in recent decades. People now are looking out for each other again in a way maybe we had forgotten about for a while. That being said, there is a very serious aspect to this about the fatalities, and we hope that, and we thank the HSE and all the work that they're doing to minimise that, to minimise infections and fatalities, support them in every way we can. But I want to say that we will, succeed. We will regain our county and our community back again. There will be difficulties along that way, but I see we have to be positive for the future.
There's a lot of work that's been done by the County Council. The work had started as a result of the onset of this international health crisis, and 3 weeks hence now we have a very clear framework to channel all those queries that are going to come from the people out there in our communities in County Clare who are in need of help. So there's great positivity, there's great sense of proactivity as well. We now have in place a structure, and that's very important. Also in place, launched yesterday, was a helpline, the number of which is on all the websites. What's also been done in the past 3 weeks is the filling in of a map of the county of Clare. And in that map, those who receive the call at the central helpline from wherever in the county will be able to identify a volunteer and indeed volunteers in that area, so that you have, for instance, special contacts for the farming community that's established in that map, and then also volunteers are identified for non-farming issues. So there's been huge cooperation to ensure that County Clare will best address the needs of the vulnerable during this crisis. What the people of Clare should know is that the Clare County Council has collaborated with all other agencies in the county to provide a central number. That number is available from 8 a.m. in the morning to 8 p.m. in the evening, 7 days per week. An individual in need of any assistance at all should call that number and they will receive the assistance. We've done very well so far. Let's keep it up. Let's keep the social distancing. Let's stay at home except for the absolutely necessary trip out. We're doing very well, and let's remember the frontline workers that are doing above and beyond the work needed to combat this virus.
This morning we brought together the key statutory agencies and community partners. We agreed our terms of reference and our way of operating, and the purpose of the forum is to target the coordination of services, the sharing of information to vulnerable groups in the community that may not have family or friends or neighbours that are in a position to assist and support them, and that we would reach out as state agencies and voluntary groups as umbrellas in the various parishes across the county, and then as volunteers working under those community groups. We structured ourselves into 2 working groups, an interagency working group which is primarily comprised of statutory agencies, Gardaí, HSE, Department of Social Protection, Clare County Council, An Post and others, and a second working group which is supporting the voluntary organisations all across the county that have come together to coordinate volunteers on the ground. Mike Foley is chairing the Community and Voluntary Working Group, and I've been asked to chair the Working Group for Interagency. Both of those working groups will meet in the next 3 days, to share information and to identify gaps in service delivery and to get our protocols in place. To look at the light at the end of the tunnel, we're working through a particularly challenging phase at the moment in our immediate response to COVID-19. The statutory agencies have come together with clear plans. The voluntary organisations and volunteers have come together, and this forum coordinates all of that effort in a planned way. And in terms of the light at the end of the tunnel, the focus is on adhering to the HSE guidelines in terms of cocooning and protecting the vulnerable, but during that transition phase, that the services are connected into those people that are isolated so that they can get the necessary supports during that transition phase.
All of the community development support agency groups in the county are now being brought together in a coordinated manner. There's been a tremendous amount of work already underway, and this is now the opportunity to pull all that together in a very unified way. Particularly in a time of crisis, people absolutely star in terms of their capabilities and the extent to which they will collaborate with many people around them. We've absolutely noticed that during the last number of weeks, and we're absolutely thrilled with it because that's what's going to make a real difference in this county. Well, we're definitely going to come through this without a shadow of a doubt. It's going to be difficult, it's going to be painful, but nonetheless the structures are in place and the supports are there to help communities to manage their way through this very, very difficult time.
Well, Áras Contae have in the past, through their community policing networks, been in touch with local communities, again getting involved in the local communities themselves. So obviously when this unprecedented event happened with the COVID-19 scenario, Áras Contae stepped up their efforts with their community policing sections to stay in touch with members of the community, particularly those in vulnerable situations, the elderly, the infirm, those that maybe require some help or assistance and may not have that. So from the outset, we contacted the County Council here. We tried to establish a network where we could introduce a mechanism by which these vulnerable people could receive assistance from either ourselves or other voluntary groups. So again, what's happened in the last number of weeks is the formalisation of that plan in collaboration between Áras Contae and the County Council and other government and non-government agencies to assist those people that require our assistance. We're going to be asking the people of County Clare to abide by the government regulations and guidelines in relation to the social distancing and physical distancing. We have been challenged before in Clare. We have overcome those challenges in collaboration and cooperation with all of the agencies that are there, and I think we will certainly overcome this challenge in a very compassionate way.
We are there to support you if you need food delivered, if you need the prescriptions, whatever you need, we are there to support you.
Community is so important for us, and at a time of crisis, at a time of difficulty, we always look beyond ourselves to our family, to our neighbours, and they help us to get through any challenges, any difficulties that we have. And an event like we had here this morning, where people from right across the range of community, from church, from HSE, from Gardaí, from GA, from farming communities, so many different groups from the different communities that are right across Clare, coming together for an event like this to look at and to identify who the vulnerable people are and how we can reach out beyond our own little concerns and interests are to be able to ensure that people are able to live well and to be healthy and to be able to survive this difficult and unprecedented time that we're in, this terrible crisis that is there. Well, my basic advice is to stay safe, stick to the HSE guidelines, look out for each other, look out for the most vulnerable, pray to God and pray for each other.